history of the Tamers. It's the Tamers' night before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the woods, only Tamers were stirring, snow as high as their hoods. Why travel the trail on this Christmas Eve fair? The simplest of reasons, because it was there. When they left in the morning, the plan was to play. They'd take easy trails, and they'd wheel all day. But as happens, as usual, things changed in a snap. Now dark, it's a long ways from a long winter's nap. The group had all broken on this nasty stretch, and there was no one was left, the new parts for to fetch. John was just spinning just two wheels up in smoke. It gave us to know that his lockers were broke. And stuck in the hole, Gary was in a pinch, and there was no rig or tree close enough from which to winch. Scrambler Mike had managed to keep his axles intact, but his drag link instead was just totally wrapped. Dirtball had snapped off the remains of his track bar. It was obvious tonight that they wouldn't get far. Likewise disabled was the rest of the group. Sad to say, Christmas spirits were beginning to droop. But then, off in the distance, there arose quite a whine. Tamers heard the sound of an engine that was cranking just fine. A wheeler approached, rock lights piercing the dark. He made it look easy, like he was out on a lark. His rig was top-notch, a red shiny built job. It gave us to know that this guy was no slob. As he closed in, he roused us, exhaust spouting flame, and he yelled from his seat, calling each of our names. Ho Dirtball, Ho Johnny, Scrambler Mike and Hugh, and Gary TJ and Moosey, and the rest of you. Well, as quickly as Matt's rock rig climbs to the top of the ramp, this guy dressed in red rolled right into our camp. He had on red Carhartts, his butt crack a crease, and the fur on his ball cap was covered with grease. He said not a word. He just pulled out his tools, and once we saw him working, we knew this would be a good Yule. Like magic, his action so swift and adroit, before Johnny knew it, he had two new Detroits. Gary got 200 feet, of which rope on his spool, and he popped himself out with barely a pull. For Dirtball, he pulled out a welder that night, and as he glued on the track bar, only orange sparks took flight. You'd think that his rig held even the kitchen sink when he pulled out for Mike a brand new built-out drag link. And when the rest of the work was similarly dispatched, he hopped in his rig, got his seat belt attached, and then hit the starter. His RPMs rose, and soon all we saw were his taillight glows. But we heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, now go wheeling all night."